All right, cool. Let's go ahead and get started. Our agenda is mainly comprised of recaps today, but it's quite stacked. And so we're gonna obviously give an update on the thing that everyone is waiting for, when claims, when Kepler, blah, 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 etc., etc. We'll give an update on that. Then we're going to move on to be talking about integrations and deployments, and we have a few guest speakers up today. We're bringing guest speakers back. I feel like it's been a minute, um, but they will be talking about their projects and what they're working on with Evmos. Um, Later on, we'll address congestion and some of the RPC issues and other issues that builders have been having on the network and what we're doing to address it. Um, in addition to that, we'll also be talking about IVC transfers. And lastly, we'll be talking about inflation before opening up the call to Q&A from the audience. So yeah, we'll be covering a lot of ground today. Um, yeah, without further ado, let's go ahead and get started with the strongest community call in the interchain. With me is my co-host, Akash. Um, yeah, the first item is an update on claims. So we had our community call on Thursday of last week, and it feels like it hasn't been that long ago because it was in fact on Thursday and not on Tuesday as it usually is. And on Thursday we announced that we would be opening up, we would be enabling uh, the dashboard's import functionality so that Kepler users would be able to claim their airdrop. Um, so that was all well and good. However, the import button was disabled just a few hours later. Um, so why did this happen? Uh, this happened because, unbeknownst to us, Proposal 9 in the governance, in Evmos's governance system had just passed. I think it was maybe a few hours prior to the announcement or something of that nature, but Proposal 9 had just passed, and Proposal 9 actually distorted the starting time for the decay period for the claims process. And so what ended up happening is that uh, the proposal proposed the incorrect value for the start time, which essentially messed up people's claims. And so in order to protect users from losing out on their claims, that's why we disabled the button. Now, unfortunately, you know, some users didn't realize this or didn't know about this. And so even though the button was disabled, we had users trying to do things like inspect element and re-enabling the button manually through editing the website's source code. So that's all good fun. But ultimately, the button disabling was done to protect users. And so yeah, we can expect the button to be re-enabled as soon as the corrective proposal passes. So if you look at proposal 11, and as always, you can visit either MintScan or the dashboard app.evmos.org and look at all of the proposals that are currently up. You can take a look at all of them and sort of suss out which proposals which. The two proposals. Proposal 9 was the first proposal that messed up the claims for users, and then Proposal 11 is the proposal that was filed by the team in order to fix that. But as you may know, proposals have a 5-day window of time where voting is open. And so we need to wait 5 days, 5 whole days for voting, for the claiming to be fixed. And after it's fixed, we can re-enable the button. Now, of course, the dashboard is just one of the ways you can carry out an import. However, we recommend that you just wait until the dashboard is fixed and do it through there instead of trying to use some other homebrew solution that will lose you your claims. It's a very delicate process, and we highly encourage people just wait. There's no downside to waiting. Inflation, aka staking rewards, are turned off for this exact reason, and they won't be turned on until more people, specifically Kepler users, are able to claim and stake their tokens in order to partake in the staking rewards. Cool. So I think that explains most things. Part of the lessons learned here is that governance needs to be able to respond to these sort of things much faster. And in fact, governance did respond incredibly quickly. I mean, we got the proposal passed in record time. However, we still needed to wait the full voting period. And so part of the lessons here is that maybe it would be wise to make changes to the governance module in such a way where proposers can propose their own custom voting periods. And so that's a thought that we've been discussing with other teams, namely the Osmosis team, a few validators here and there, the ICF. And so if things are looking good and if the community agrees, then we may spend some cycles working on a custom governance module that will later be upstreamed in order to solve this issue in the future. All right, so if you have any questions on this, on anything I've mentioned so far, please hold your question, write it down, remember it, and you'll be able to ask me and the rest of the team directly in the last section, in the council Q&A section. You can come up on stage and ask us live, or you can go to the Discord, discord.gg/Evmos, and you'll be able to ask in the community Q&A channel in there. Okay, and we'll read it out and answer it live as well. So the next topic here is, so we've got some guests listed here. I wonder if they want to come up and actually speak. I see that nobody is on stage yet. So we'll just skip that for now and move on until these folks show up on stage. I've invited them up. We can talk about some of the issues that both users and developers have been facing on chain. And so right now, one such issue is that we are facing a record, an unprecedented amount of spam on the network because transactions are too cheap. So as always, the fact that transactions are cheap is something that is typically desirable for the end user and for dApp developers too, because it means that users have to pay less to use their dApps, which is great. However, when transactions are too cheap, you sort of forego the whole fee market, and it sort of becomes obsolete, right? It doesn't serve the purpose it's meant to serve, and the network becomes spammable because transactions are essentially free. And so, in order to fix this, we need to rethink the way that the fee market is conducted on Evmos, and this is a change that requires some formal specification, and it's something that we're working on. And the network will be upgraded soon in order to address this issue. So that's the update on network congestion in RPC, and that should make the user experience a lot better. Just from the standpoint of using MetaMask, using the MetaMask extension wallet, or using Kepler, or using dApps. Luckily, what we've seen is the average block time has actually not decreased. It's just that the amount of transactions that need to be processed and are waiting in the mempool has increased. But transactions are still being processed at the same rate. So this has actually been a great sort of stress test on the network to some degree. Uh, a lot of blocks are full, have been full in the past few weeks. And so this has obviously taken a toll from a UX perspective, but has been a good stress test for when more dApps come along and deploy. Another issue that we've been having is a lot of folks haven't been able to verify their smart contracts on the Block Explorer. This should now be fixed. We have a Sourcify integration, and also the Block Explorer should be able to display your source code. So please feel free to try it out. Let us know how well it's working, and if we need to make any further changes, we will. Ultimately, we want to make sure that devs have everything they need in order to serve their communities, and that's something that we're committed to working on. So I see here that Citadel has joined me up on stage. What's up, folks?
Hey guys, thanks for inviting us for the community call. There is also Rina Stedl, our BizDev here. If you can give her speaker permission, that would be great as well.
Done. Um, okay. So do you guys want to sort of introduce yourselves and talk about what Citadel is and does?
Yeah, sure. So many of you may know us as validators of Cosmos ecosystem, and but we are more than that. We are also a platform, and Rina Stadl will introduce the platform and the whole project to you. So, Rina, you can go ahead.
Yeah, hello guys. I'm very excited to be here today. So I'm Chief Business Development and Integration Officer at Citadel.one. So as Vlad mentioned, we are not only the validators within the Cosmos ecosystem and beyond. We are currently running more than 37 nodes all over, and we're also building this platform. Definitely. So we've been following the Evmos updates since the very beginning. And we were looking forward to support it since the very beginning. So, and recently we finally integrated Evmos. So, and at a certain point, we'll be also enabling equity incentives for staking Evmos. And just to, I wish I could share the screen, but Twitter Spaces doesn't allow me to do that. So I'll be going over the main functionality we actually provide on our platform. So we believe it's always a good to have a choice when it comes to asset management, and like more solutions are always emerging within the market. So we have some value plans we provide with Settle platform. So one of them is we are actually multi-wallet. So in case you just basically got used to Kepler, you can connect to Kepler wallet. You can also use your Ledger or Trezor device, or input any kind of seed phrase from outside the platform. So it's very easy to switch between various wallets. And also we have a convenient asset management with analytical dashboards, sub portfolios, aliases for addresses. We also cross-platform, so all the benefits are provided both on web, mobile, and we're also building our browser extension. Additionally, we are of course cross-chain, so it provides a lot of opportunities to exchange audiences, and especially as Evmos is like a cross-audience solution, so both for Ethereum and Cosmos, it's very beneficial to offer this functionality for our community. And yeah, of course, we have our ecosystem of application. That's something we definitely value, and we've been building this kind of the application center to provide opportunity to to just easily swap between different tokens, vote, participate with like staking derivatives. Anything that we can possibly think of as a crypto use case can be integrated inside Citadel.one. And another point, we've been talking to XSwap team already. We've been discussing some stuff because we already had the osmosis integrated inside Citadel.one. So we'll be also able to provide this cross-chain swap opportunity in future. So we're definitely committed to working with Evmos community. And also, just on a side note, and as I've mentioned, we're providing the Xcity incentive for staking via Citadel.one. Just to mention, we also thought about possible collaborations we can go with. Like as soon as we have this extension section, we can integrate Almas inside the governance application. We previously discussed this opportunity to proceed with the token tax, and Ava's team actually inspired us to build this kind of application to provide the export for all different Cosmos ecosystem networks, as well as the Ethereum and BSC multiple chains. And also, we are planning to build this Avmas specific educational page as we provided for Cosmos and Secret Network. And yeah, any kind of ecosystem applications, like from the Avmas ecosystem, are also welcome. So we're definitely looking forward to integrate more and provide more use cases within Citadel.one. So if you have anything in mind, please let us know. Yeah, I guess that's it for me. Thank you very much for your consideration, and I'm very happy to be here today. Looking forward to questions.
Awesome. Awesome. So yeah, that was a mouthful. There was so much there. But really happy to have you guys supporting the Evmos ecosystem. I had a few questions myself on some of the products you've mentioned.
Oh, sure.
Um, One of them is, so you mentioned a tax product for Evmos transactions. First of all, where can people sort of go and see everything that you've talked about so far? I know you mentioned, I wish you could do a live demo for us here, but obviously Twitter
Yeah.
Spaces doesn't allow that. So where can people go and check these things out? Are there
Uh,
like video demonstrations anywhere on YouTube or anything like that?
Oh yeah, definitely. We have the video demonstration for the majority of functionality, and just to test it out, you can go to app.settle.one code, and you'll be able to just easily access various functionality. And yeah, so as for the tax report, that's a good question because it's been in development and it required some amount of like reoperation on the transaction side. As soon as we are unifying various transactions from various ecosystems, not even limited to Ethereum and Cosmos, we also have Tezos and everything, and we had to restructure everything so the transactions are marked correctly, so that you can check the like correct status and everything. You can get the data you need for the tax report. We've been also in touch with some teams that proceed with the token tax specifically, not that just the ones who proceed with the token tax, like upon the export of the CSV file. So, and they gave us some comments, and yeah, so we even partnered with some of them just to provide our users with the opportunity to do it like way easier. So
Yeah,
yeah,
and
it's
if
gonna be
if I
live like soon, like pretty soon. So we've been working on it, and we'll keep our community updated. So yeah, definitely.
awesome,
So thank you
awesome.
for inspiring us.
Yeah, of course. If I understood correctly as well, you have plans to integrate specific applications that build on Evmos into the token tax tool. Is that right? So, if people are doing swaps, maybe that's something that can also be categorized in the CSV file export.
Yeah,
Is that
so
right?
so what you need to understand is through token tax, we'll be able to analyze all the operations that are happening within Settle.one platform, so that if we integrate a specific Avmas application, it can be also included inside the general transaction
Gotcha.
export. So yeah, that's just something to to come.
Gotcha. That's amazing. So if you're a DApp developer and would love to see your DApp included in this tool, feel free to reach out to the Citadel.one team. I'm sure they'd love to hear from you. Switching gears a little bit, you also mentioned Axelar support for interchain bridging. Do you guys have, that's really exciting. Do you have any plans to support other bridges? I know there's a number of them that have been deployed on the EVM side specifically, like bridges like Nomad, Seller, Multichain, etc. Do you guys have any plans for supporting those? Because I know a lot of users that are not native to the Cosmos, that are native to Ethereum, will likely be using those bridges instead.
Oh yeah, sure. Bridges is like kind of my favorite team. I've already been writing in academic research on that. So basically, as for bridges, yes, we are planning to support those, especially like the Ethereum ones. So we've been in touch with the Axelar team as well to integrate the opportunity to bridging inside the Evmos both as a separate bridge app. So Satellite will be able to support that. Also, I've been talking to Constellation team. They're building Solana and BSC bridges. So our goal is to provide this easy cross-chain swap, so we can integrate and aggregate multiple ways for user to easily access various tokens just inside Settle. And yeah, in the future we'll be providing like this meta layer. So in case you're willing to go from your let's say like USDT on Ethereum to Cosmos on Osmosis, it will be just a couple of click solution for you. So you don't have to manually go through all the applications and bridges. Will be just lowering this entry for multiple users. So yeah, that's something we're definitely considering and working on.
Definitely, definitely. That's awesome. Well, great to hear, and thanks for coming on to talk about how you guys are supporting Evmos and developers who are building on Evmos as well. Super exciting. One last question. I know you mentioned an informational slash educational resource for folks to read up on Evmos. Where can people find that?
That's something we're building for our partner network. So on these educational pages, we basically describe the technology. We provide information on staking, some rewards calculator page, as well as some applications built on it where you can accrue tokens and everything. So that's something that will be coming upon the rebranding on our own site. So we'll be brand new with updated information, and we're planning to launch that like this summer, tentatively.
Super, super. All right. Well, maybe we can have you on again after the rebrand, and you guys can talk about sort of, I mean, all of these tools will be launched, and folks will be able to get their hands on them and use them, and that'd be great.
Sure thing. I'm very happy. Thank you so much.
For sure. Yeah. Thanks
Yeah,
again,
thanks
and
guys for inviting.
thanks, folks. Stick around until the end. Maybe folks will have questions for you.
Sure thing.
Cool.
Awesome. So far we've talked about, we've given a claims update. We've talked the congestion and RPC issues, and we've had Citadel.one talk about some of the integrations and deployments on Evmos and how they're supporting the ecosystem. Last two bullets on our list before we open it up to questions are talking about IBC channels and sort of what the status is of the IBC transfers, in addition to talking about inflation and staking rewards. Akash, would you like to give an update on either of these things?
Yes. You mentioned staking rewards.
Yes, staking rewards and also the IBC channels. Either one, if you want to.
Yes. Yes. So, yeah, I guess for IBC channels, right now they're still congested. I believe we got the proposals through to reactivate the IBC channels, right? So we're good. Otherwise.
That's right. I think for Cosmos, we're still trying to fix. So yes, so this is a little interesting, but we had the Cosmos proposal set to pass, and it was on track. We had the new client, up to date and whatever. However, unfortunately, the validator that was maintaining the client accidentally let the client expire And so when the proposal passed, it failed to execute because the client that the proposal was pointing to was expired already. So that's unfortunate, but I think we're going to need to remake the proposal on the Cosmos side.
Yep. Remake the proposal on the Cosmos side, and then ensure that the relayer is active.
Yeah, we
And then,
won't let it happen again.
yep. And then osmosis. So what this means is we actually have access to send liquidity to osmosis. We have incentives coming to set osmosis pools. So keep your eyes peeled for that. That'll mean that osmosis will be getting Evmos liquidity, as well as incentivizing LPs to put their liquidity on osmosis. Do we want to mention anything about the dashboard changes for
Yeah, go ahead.
sending to us?
Go ahead.
Yeah. So we're planning to roll out the ability to send your Evmos tokens to Osmosis. I don't know. Is that happening in the coming days, Nick?
Yeah, so the timeline for that should be in the next couple of days. It'll line up with whenever the button for importing for Kepler users is re-enabled. So both of those should be re-enabled around the same time, within a few hours of each other. And so what that means is that when Kepler users are able to claim, they'll also be able to migrate their liquidity to Osmosis for trading on Osmosis as well.
Cool. Yep. I think that's it on incentives and IBC stuff and Osmosis.
Yeah, one note is that we've been speaking to the Osmosis team, and basically the canonical way to transfer your tokens over to Osmosis from Evmos, the canonical way will live on the Evmos side, on the Evmos dashboard. The reason for this, and so I don't think you'll be able to do this on the Osmosis dashboard. The reason for this is just that it's a little finicky right now because addresses are different for Osmosis and for Evmos. So you'll notice that for Osmosis, your address, your Osmo1 blah 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 address matches up with the Cosmos address, right, for the same account. However, your Evmos address will be different. And so it's not immediately intuitive for how you can implement this for users in a way that's safe. You obviously don't want users to send their tokens to the wrong address. And so I think that right now the Evmos team has managed to implement this in a way that does transfers safely. And so if that succeeds, I think then maybe the Osmosis team will try to find the time to implement it on their side as well. But for now, the canonical way to do IBC transfers to and from Osmosis will just live in the Evmos dashboard. So that's the only note I'll make there. And Akash, did we want to talk about staking rewards just briefly? There's not much to say here, but just wanted to flag it because I know we get tons of questions in the Discord for this.
Yeah, so inflation isn't enabled at the moment. So that means if you're staking, we appreciate the kind of service you're providing to the network, which is basically securing the network. So the the people that are staking should expect to only get rewards once inflation is enabled, and inflation is likely to be enabled probably sometime after this week, given that we've gotten to a point where IBC transfers work. The claims process is going to be fixed for the decay issues that we've been having. And once all the issues are fixed and there's sort of ample time to claim, we will only then enable inflation.
Awesome. Yes, that's great. And I know that even though staking reward enabled right now, I know that there's quite a few dApps that already have been taking snapshots of Evmos stakers, so it's not without benefit. And yeah, there should be even more reward for staking in the coming days. One thing to note is that delegations will also be going out alongside staking rewards being re-enabled, and that should help decentralize the network even further. I know that we've gotten quite a few questions from validators about this. All right, well, thanks, Akash. We also have, oh no, where did they go? We had someone from Flux Protocol up here just a moment ago, and I think they've disappeared for now. Once they come back up, maybe we can ask them a few questions and ask them to explain what Flux Protocol is. But for now, we can open things up to community questions. So if you have a question that you'd like to ask the team or any of the speakers who are already up here, feel free to request to raise your hands, and we will bring you up here to ask your question. And we've already gotten our first, so they're just connecting up here. What's up, PG Way? Can you hear me okay?
Yep, I can hear you. How you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much for asking. Hey, yeah, so I had just a couple things. First of all, thank you for putting this on. I think it's extremely invaluable for the community to be able to understand what's happening, what's the plan. That insight is what builds community and gets people involved with our governance. So, couple questions I just had real quick. So I believe it was Rena. I don't think no, she's still on, but she had mentioned from Citadel.one, they're being a validator. I think one of the things in the community that I wonder about often is when it comes to validation or choosing a validator for our staking or for any type of LP. How do we? What are the key things? What are the key elements that people should consider when it comes to validators, and how does that benefit this ecosystem with Evmos?
Yeah, Citadel.one, did you want to speak on this a little bit?
Yeah, sure. So, first of all, we have recently made a video explaining all the key points to choose a validator. But right now, I want to say that you have to consider the input each validator is making into the ecosystem. Also, you are interested that your validator is always keeping the uptime, so the technological stack is also very important. So those are two most important things, and to keep in mind. What else? Yeah,
Yeah.
Rina,
I can bring Rena back up, as I think she left, but I can bring Rena back up. The core thing also I think that you should look at for validators, in my humble opinion, is as the Citadel.one speaker mentioned, is just how well are they securing the network infrastructure, running smoothly? Are they sort of running multiple validators under different brands, in which case that's a bad thing. You want your validator set to be as decentralized as possible. And then also, I think an underrated thing to look for with validators is governance participation. Like how committed are these validators to actually participating in the network's governance? Because if they're not sort of involved, that's a very, very signal, in my opinion. But anyway, those are just a few thoughts.
True
I don't.
that.
I don't know if
Yeah, and I've
Rena has
also
anything else to say.
I'm sorry, just I've also recently made a video that Vlad mentioned and actually also pointed out different like incentives are provided, as well as of course the monitoring tools and the general validation setup should be fine and should be publicly communicated so that the stakers can actually understand that there won't be any like downtimes associated, any slashing. So huge validators were living like secret network recently for because they couldn't handle the general setup they needed, and that's why it's very important to check this metric, ask in various chats, and also as like the community presence, of course, if you can have this kind of direct speech with your validator, if you can cover your questions and help you out, it's always very good. And participation in various events of the network, being very quick to react. And recent events with Terra and the deploying of like osmosis, they just we need reaction, and we had to be very quick to make right decision. That's it.
That's very helpful. Thank you so much. I can't tell you. I mean, I think that's one of the challenges that I know I've been facing as I'm looking at the validators to understand what that infrastructure backend looks like. My career is actually in IT with infrastructure security, networking. So I was curious always how the validators, when selecting those, how could we find that type of information to know that our assets are one, in the best hands, and two, it's actually promoting the ecosystem in the way that's best for everybody. That it's not just a benefit for the people that are part of that. If this makes sense, but part of that single validator seeing a benefit versus how it benefits the entire ecosystem. Because sometimes, if you're getting a lower rate of return, but that ecosystem can evolve faster or more beneficially in a universal setting, that's still a better option, in my opinion, than a higher APR. So it's not the short term view, but the long term view of what does that validator believe in, and finding that information is sometimes difficult.
Absolutely, absolutely. Great points. And yeah, to your point, just as a concluding thought, Evmi Chan in the audience has been doing a lot of work sort of on the dashboard side of things in order to surface a lot of the important information that you're talking about. So there's dashboards today don't surface almost anything, but in the future you'll be able to go to app.evmos.org and see, for example, whether or not a validator is running on a bare metal setup, or if they've made contributions to the core code base, like folks like Notional uh, or like a few of the other validators in the active set now. And so, yeah, all of this information will become legible to the end user on the Evmos dashboard. And then from there, you should be able to make a better decision with who you delegate to.
Well, thank you for that. And the only other comment I really want to make, and I'll step down for somebody else, is just I appreciate the insight also was given about that interchange between being in the Evmos versus the osmosis environment, and understanding that those are different wallet addresses and how that creates that complication. I mean, we can see how we have the validation process or the joining process between Evmos and MetaMask wallets for addressing when you're doing the conversion, because I think that part of this is just the cumbersome nature of the process of using diffusion or Nomad and then moving things back and forth, and having that, knowing whether you're in the right wallet, the right MetaMask, that creates some user, that is a barrier to entry for consumers sometimes. So obviously, I think that's great that you guys brought that up and are addressing that on how do you lower that barrier of entry to keep it so that community members or new people to the space have an easier time with that migration. And I think when we talk about osmosis, I think they've done a fantastic job with their interface. That graphical user interface to be able to move and migrate, so easy and seamless. And I think it's one of the better ones in any ecosystem that I've seen so far. So I appreciate that insight. Thank you very much for sharing that. And that's really all I have for thoughts. Appreciate it.
Thank you, PJ. Those are some great thoughts as well. I'm going to send you back down to the audience. But yeah, really, really insightful there. I think you touched on some pretty profound points. And yeah, right now Evmos is in a place where we're trying to reach parity with sort of supporting the existing tools that users already know and love, like, trying to make sure that Kepler users can use Kepler seamlessly, MetaMask users can use MetaMask seamlessly, and sort of the conversion between those two isn't too painful. But in the future, we'll be working on sort of new features in order to support new ways to interact with the network that are even better than the existing tools that are out there. And so look forward to that. We have also here, while folks were talking, we have also here Evmos, speaker from Evmos, and also we did have a speaker from Flux, but I think they've decided to leave again. No matter, we'll have them back up. But hey, Evmos, what's up?
Hey guys, how are you doing? Can you hear me well?
You're loud and clear. So this is the Q&A
Hello?
section, but I just wanted
Okay,
to
cool.
give you the opportunity to explain what Evmos is, and maybe people would have questions for you.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I appreciate the time to share some information. Actually, the idea here, we made a presentation about our project a few weeks back on the community call. So the idea today was more to provide a little bit of an update, a quick
Please
one,
go ahead.
not take much of
Yes.
people's time. So, well, since we launched on May 4th, a lot of things have happened. I think that our team is usually taking this time now to build and to do more enhancements. So there's daily updates that I invite everybody to check out on our Discord channel, that we can provide all the daily updates that we have. So far, we have reached almost 3,000 addresses that have interacted with our contracts. For now, we have developed two kinds of strategies, the auto compound and the auto stake, as we mentioned here. But now we are reaching a point where we're going into the second phase of our project, which is to keep evolving. And the basically idea to this is that we now move into the V token phase, and we want to have the convex curve model to help use the boost the youth by we're going to convert and accumulate the V tokens. So working with Evo's projects like Diffusion and Saddle and Kronos, which has been very, very good and great. So collaborating with them and making the community very, very strong. So that's the idea, just having pretty success in the first phase. Everything's running smoothly. Now moving on to the second phase that we call the V token phase, as we said. So just wanted to share those news and also take the opportunity to thank you guys very much. Helping the community, working with you guys, Liam and Adit, being very supportive and very helpful for us in many aspects of our project. So take this opportunity to thank everybody, the community, the partner projects, and also as the Evmos community being very great so far. So thank you for the time to present. And if you guys have any questions, be happy to try to address them.
Excellent. Thanks, folks. Yeah, thanks for that update. If anyone has questions for Evmos, yeah, feel free to come up on stage and ask them. We have two new speakers to ask questions. We have Julian, I'm not sure how you say that name, and then also Diana, and then we'll be reading out some questions from the Discord as well. So hopefully we can get to all of you on time. Hey man, what's up? Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, is it my turn? Sorry.
Yes, it's your turn. Go ahead.
Awesome. Thanks for hosting this. I had two different questions. One was on the initial snapshot or the initial airdrop. I think it was the rec drop for Evmos. It had a calculation including Atom stakers and Luna stakers as well, I believe. But then when I re-entered, it was only for my MetaMask activity. So the airdrop was completely changed the second time around. Is there going to be an update to that, or is the current what's presented now kind of fixed?
Yeah, great question. So I think we've seen a lot of reports of users being confused by seeing two different amounts, one prior to the launch and one after the relaunch. The actual claims have mostly been unchanged. And so what I think is happening here is just that the interface has changed to display your claims differently. And so in the past, your claims have been were shown on the interface as a combined sum total across multiple accounts, whereas now they're sort of split up. And so people think, oh, uh, my claims have decreased, but they actually haven't decreased. They've just been split, like they've just been more accurately represented across different accounts. So what I would wager is you actually have the same amount of tokens that you can claim, but they're just hidden. You just need to go through, however many accounts you have across Kepler and MetaMask to try and find all of those claims. And if you're having troubles, I think the best way to sort of debug this is just to ask for help from one of the mods in the Discord. And yeah, the mods have been going through a lot of these reports, and it turns out that a lot of users just haven't and this is not the user's fault at all, but have just been misinterpreting the UI. And so I highly recommend you talk to one of the mods, and they can sort of do the digging and querying the chain themselves manually in order to get you the information you need to be confident in what's going on. But as far as whether the claims are final at the moment, I think the answer is yes. But again, talk to a mod in order, because they will help you sort of discover where your claims might have gone. And if there really is an issue, then of course we we'll be filing bug reports and trying to figure out what went wrong there and how we can solve that. So I wouldn't worry in any case.
Great, thank you. And the next question was on well, with the recent Terra collapse, is Evmos doing anything to try to bring over developers, projects, and so on? Like I'm helping a lot of projects transition to other chains and other networks. Secret Network has already reached out. Juno, is Evmos going to do anything in terms of reaching out, grants, or anything for any Terra
Totally.
projects that are looking to migrate?
Totally. We have Liam up here. Liam, do you want to say a word about this?
Hey there, guys. Yeah, so just real briefly, we have a few campaigns, to support Terra developers as it is, whether it's through our grants program or whether it's through our organic incentives that are baked into the protocol. I think some of you have seen some Cosmos chains making governance proposals to support Terra ecosystem developers. That's certainly something that the community is welcome to do. But for now, we've mostly been engaging just with developers that have been reaching out, looking for support. So I've spoken to about a dozen or so projects this week from the Terra ecosystem, and just trying to help them and figure out how we can support them in the long run. Also sending warm wishes to the Terra team. We're working very closely with them up until the recent compromise, and we definitely wish them the best of luck in getting back on their feet in the weeks to come.
Yeah. So the answer is absolutely yes. And Julian, if you know of any folks who are looking for a new home, feel free to send them our way, and or just DM us your Telegram handle, and we can set up a chat.
Great, thank you. As final question, given that Cosmos has already got the interchain accounts and everything, but Evmos is EVM compatible, are you guys looking to integrate with Layer 0 at all?
Liam, have we had any conversations with Layer 0?
I do know the team at a personal level pretty well. We are not working with them for Evmos. We are prioritizing working with Nomad for all bridging. But of course, any other bridges are welcome to integrate with Evmos if they wish.
Yep, that's the beauty of a permissionless network. I guess so far we've had Axelar, multi-chain, Solar as well, all integrate with Evmos. And yeah, I haven't really followed up on their progress, but I think that was mostly seamless. Julian, I have a question for you. Just turning this around. Why do you bring up interchain accounts in the same breath as layer 0? I'm curious.
I found them to be very compatible or comparable, really, because they offer kind of that seamless integration across different networks. Similar
Gotcha.
integration in terms of how they operate. Cosmos kind of solves that, but Layer Zero is taking it slightly a step further with chains that weren't compatible to begin with.
hmm hmm
So just
Yeah.
integrating those two would just really open up everything.
Yeah, that's a great point. So essentially, Evmos is going to be integrating interchain accounts at some point in the coming months. And we're very excited about this use case because what it means is that you can essentially have smart contract driven interchain DeFi where smart contracts can make calls to osmosis pools or make transfers on the Cosmos hub or what have you. And so we're very excited to enable the interchain accounts plus smart contract future. Um, and yeah, we'll definitely also be working on solutions for enabling similar functionality on the EVM layer. So where smart contracts on Evmos can communicate with smart contracts on Ethereum, let's say. Both of those sides of the same coin are coming to Evmos in the coming months. But obviously, we have more immediate challenges right now, which are similar to what we've talked about, like congested IBC channels, slow RPC endpoints, et cetera, and these take precedence, obviously, because they affect the immediate user experience. But anyway, Julian, thank you for the thought-provoking questions. Really, really enjoyed talking to you, and yeah, hope to talk to you some more about Terra developers in the future.
Great, thank you so much.
Take care. Okay, so it's time to read out a few of the questions on the Discord. We have 5 more minutes left, and let's see how quickly we can get through these. Sam, spelt with a 5 instead of an S, asks, why did you change from Ethermint to Evmos? That's a great question. So Ethermint is this project that was started back in early 2016, 17. It was originally seen as a sister hub to the Cosmos hub that would act as a peg zone between the Cosmos ecosystem and Ethereum. The vision for Ethermint evolved over the years, and we weren't the original team that proposed it, even though Federico was working at Tendermint at the time, either at the time or a little bit later. Several teams have tried to launch Ethermint in the past and weren't able to. And that's when we decided to launch Ethermint on our own back in 2021. We applied for a grant to support the work from the Cosmos Hub, and we got a grant essentially, and that's what we've been running on for the whole time that we've been working on Ethermint. We later rebranded to Evmos as sort of an extension of the original vision. So whereas Ethermint was just meant to be a simple peg zone, Evmos is so much more. It's this community-driven network that has built-in incentives for developers and seeks to align incentives between all of the contributors to a network. So that's the end users, the developers, obviously, and then also the infrastructure providers like validators. So Ethermint still exists as an open source library that anyone can use. We make that available. We maintain it so that anyone can launch their own Ethermint chain. But Evmos itself is, what we consider one of the first purely community-driven EVM chains in the Cosmos ecosystem. So I hope that answers your question, Sam. We have a bunch of when questions. I think we've answered the when questions. When proposal 11 lands, which should be at the end of the day today, depending on what time zone you're in, early beginning of the day tomorrow, we should be enabling the import button for Kepler users right after that. So Max also asks, will EIP 1559 transactions be supported eventually? I have big news for you. They already are. Yeah, right now the transactions you make to the network include 1559 transactions. So a bunch more when questions. Arich raises a point of how do you the claims has caused a lot of negativity, and so yeah, to that I say I agree. The claiming process has been troublesome. It has caused a lot of negativity. However, Evmos itself is not the airdrop, and there'll be many more ways to acquire the token for using it in Evmos DeFi and other applications in the near future, so I would not despair. We've had a fairly strong community, a strong contingent, I should say, of people who've been able to stick with it and stick through all the troubles, and who understand that building Evmos is incredibly difficult. Building Evmos, especially when you're running on grant money, on granting, and you're not a privately funded network, is even more so difficult. I mean, the challenges of building an EVM chain that supports both an EVM runtime, as well as the Cosmos SDK, has been incredibly challenging, and it's not something that I think has been done before, right? So other EVM chains, their only mandate is to run the EVM runtime, and there's no sort of mandate to support the Cosmos ecosystem. The fact that there's a team out there that can do that running on grant funding, I think is admirable, and it'll only continue to get better. But it is a good point. Right of Doom asks, are we protected against sandwich bots? So for any kind of MEV, is still possible on Tendermint-based chains, but it's incredibly difficult for now because there is no priority queue for the mempool. There is just a first in, first out queue. So validators cannot choose how to process their mempools. At least this tooling doesn't exist yet, but it may exist in the future. So I think for a large part of this is we're safe for now, but maybe not for long. Does unstaking automatically go back into your wallet after 14 days? Yes, that's correct. Unbonding your tokens should result in your tokens being available for you to use after 14 days. Someone says we did a great job. Thank you so much. Agamasmus, thanks for that. When Uniswap or Paraswap on Evmos? That's up to the Uniswap and the Paraswap teams to decide. We'd love to talk to them. I think we have spoken to either one or both of them in the past, and we'll have to revisit those conversations at some point down the line once the congestion RPC issues are fixed, which is our primary focus right now. We are over time, and I know that there are a few more questions to ask, so let me see if there's anything pressing. When Klein Kepler, when? What is happening? So Nachtigall asks, what's happening with rewards for testnet participants? So these are coming. Right now, the focus, as I mentioned, is on the current issues, that we're facing, as well as validator delegations, and then right after that, we will be focused on rewards for the incentivized testnet. So we're a small team. Things take time to process, but I promise you, we're working on it. Cool. Yes. Okay. So if there's a question that I missed, maybe the mods will get to it. I think we have to end now since we're over time. But thank you all so much for for asking questions. PJ Way, I see that you're also requesting to ask. Sorry we couldn't get to your follow-up question. Please do ask it in the Discord, and we will make sure to try to answer it. Thank you everyone so much. This was a great call. Thanks to the Citadel team, so one team for coming on. Thanks to Evmos for coming on and giving an update. And we'll see you all next time.